Hey everybody, it is Dan and Joe talking about Dan's big movie, our monthly. This is called actually Dan's Supersize movie.
Biggest movie
because there's 3 movies. Usually we talk about 2. We pick one for its anniversary. Then we do a pair with a matching something or other.
But now you have to explain why.
And then at the end of the day, we messed up. I messed up, I think, more than anything.
I don't remember.
So anyway, our original movie,
believe it or not,
which I forgot about,
completely,
was From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
This is now it's a few days late because of the big snowstorm we had, and because I messed up. But
it's fine.
But so January 1996 was the release year and month of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
So we thought, okay, what are we going to pair it with? So we had a couple of ideas. One of them was True Romance, because both written by Tarantino, both early Tarantino films that he didn't direct.
Correct.
But then one of our other choices was Desperado, because Robert Rodriguez directed, Tarantino is in it, Salma Hayek is in both.
So there's kind of
a few similarities.
We got mixed up somehow.
But somehow we
thought
ended up thinking Desperado was the main movie.
I guess we thought that Dusk Till Dawn, that kind of melded together because they're similar.
I don't know why I thought that. I mean, they're both Robert Rodriguez directed, so I don't know.
I don't know.
So somehow when we did our original watching, we watched Desperado and then True Romance.
As our complimentary.
Yes, as a complimentary.
Even though...
And then I came over here to review them and was looking up the release date, and I was like, well, wait a second, this Desperado says 95.
I've got a theory.
So I messed it up.
I don't know exactly how we mixed it up, but I think we just both wanted to watch True Romance, and so...
I think that was the main thing.
We were more focused on that.
I was the most excited about True Romance.
That we forgot about the actual anniversary.
Now, you had seen Desperado previously.
Yes.
I have seen none of these 3 movies.
You're totally fresh to all of it.
So I was fresh to all of it, didn't know much about it. So what we're going to do here is, I think... we're going to not take up a ton of time with Desperado.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that a bit.
Because that's the one we messed up with?
Yes, because I think the true double feature is Dusk Till Dawn and True Romance.
Because we wanted to do Tarantino-esque.
Yes.
And these are like adjacent. And because they're screenplays but not directed, so...
Correct.
So we were more into that than Rodriguez specifically.
I agree with that.
Okay.
And you've even seen El Mariachi a few times.
Once.
Which is, of course, the lead up to Desperado.
Yeah.
So, should we talk about Desperado first, since it's sort of the sorbet to the main meal here?
I think this is the appetizer. So, yeah, sure.
So, now, you purposely wanted me to go in fresh with both the rotten and the Ebert.
To be fair, you were chatting a lot with me. I think you were having a hard time getting into it. You were frustrated with it.
I was a little bit frustrated.
So I felt like I wanted to watch the movie. Yeah. And so yes, but you came away kind of having mixed feelings about it.
So actually, I won't look up the rotten right now. Let's talk about it,
and then we'll.
I just wanted to kind of prepare it on my phone. Okay, so I really thought this was a mixed bag of a film.
Okay.
And. Look, I like Antonio Banderas, although I have not seen many of his more popular roles. I've never seen Mask of Zorro.
I like that one a lot. Yeah.
I mostly know him from more of his more recent, like indie films. Some of them even Spanish language films,
dramas and stuff.
And dramas, yes. And then of course Puss in Boots.
Okay.
And then Salma, I of course love, for the ages here. This is theoretically written and directed by Rodriguez. But I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Directed? Okay.
Maybe.
I think Tarantino certainly deserves at least a co-writing credit on this film.
The whole opening sequence with Steve Buscemi with setting up the Desperado character, and then of course where Tarantino has his character walk in with the joke, that's just
straight out of the playbook.
It seems like something he totally wrote.
Straight out of the Tarantino playbook, and then he appears himself later in the film.
Yeah.
As kind
of a minor criminal character.
Minor. He tells a joke. Yeah. Don't know if that scene was even scripted or if he just said...
kind of improv.
It said in the script, Tarantino comes in and tells a joke.
He probably recited... I mean, it seemed like...
a long-form joke.
Could have been something that was written after, an improv or something.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a joke that I've heard before. It's like a long-form joke that takes
I never heard that one before.
2, 3, 4 minutes to... I have.
Oh.
And I've never seen the movie, so... but... I mean, I guess it's possible he wrote it and then...
Became
just
more...
I heard it through the grapevine or whatever.
Maybe.
But But point being, can't act.
All right.
Horrible actor.
All right, look.
Great director.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about his acting in a more prominent role in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Sure, and I'll tell you this. Well, obviously, we were talking about how Tarantino's got skills on other areas.
Yes. And I think we can both agree he's one of our favorite directors.
Well, he's one of the best directors.
Certainly.
Great screenwriter.
Yeah.
And like, does a lot of things behind the camera that are great. But I will say this. Yes, acting is not his forte.
No.
But you say that he's terrible, and I don't know if you remember it very well, but his character in Reservoir Dogs I thought was fine. His character in Pulp Fiction's got a pretty funny scene.
Fine.
So I think, and as you notice, as he became a bigger filmmaker, his roles become smaller and smaller.
Yes.
They become more tidbits. So
Django, not good.
I think he didn't like his Australian accent, so he's randomly.
Please. But I did agree with you. Shyamalan is much worse.
Well, he draws attention to it too much. Like, he made himself a main character in that one, in Lady in the Water or something.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, he was like he's like actually the writer in that one. But anyway, yeah. But
so I can't speak much of that. But
I think if he plays a character that he is basically Tarantino, I think it's fine. But that's about it.
But that's what this was. He was Tarantino in this for sure.
Yeah, I guess when told the joke he was.
Although one might say Buscemi was more Tarantino.
Yeah, he was doing that bit better.
Here's what I liked about it.
Okay.
Some good action sequences.
Definitely.
Salma Hayek is fine.
Yeah.
Banderas is okay in here. Mm-hmm. I can tell that he's, green, just really starting out.
With an action stuff.
I don't know what his filmography is before this. But
he did a movie with Sylvester Stallone, I think, before this. I always forget it. Was it called Bandits or something like that?
Okay, that could be.
I don't know.
I think he is in a movie called Bandits. I don't know when it came
out. Assassins.
Okay,
I think is what it is.
So
it was before this.
But look, you can certainly tell he's a bit wet behind the ears. He's okay in this, but I don't think.
You didn't think he was charismatic enough? He's got the Banderas charm.
Yeah, I mean, he's like nowadays we know him as this big, Lothario, right?
Yeah.
Very debonair and suave.
You don't think there's some of that here? I think there was.
Some.
Gets the shirt off. Hello.
Yeah, he has muscles. That's fine. Some, but not all. But we do see some of our favorites in here. You see Trejo. Mm-hmm. You see Cheech, who we'll talk about many times in From Dusk Till Dawn. And you mentioned Buscemi. So we see some of our favorites who have either then and now Tarantino and Rodriguez regulars.
Yes.
So, and that's fine. I thought the script for this was all right. Mm-hmm. I think it actually could have used more Tarantino spice.
More of those conversations and stuff.
I think Rodriguez is a decent director.
I think he's really good with the visuals. Like his action sequences, you pointed out, like with the gunfights. Mm-hmm. I do think these are some of the best, like, high energy gunfights I've ever seen.
And I actually think he does a good job at action films for children.
Yeah. Which I feel like those are honestly more of his passions, because I feel like it's really weird.
I think they are too, because I feel like there's more of him in there.
Maybe.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to pin down, but I think clearly the Desperado character is something that he has a lot of passion for.
Yes.
I kind of want to ask you a question, because I feel like you're right. The story for this, I think, is pretty solid, pretty conventional.
It's okay.
Good revenge story.
The guitar case bit is
There's
fine.
some good gags with the props there.
Yeah.
Did you feel a bit lost?
Very lost.
Because I think
you told me you wanted me to watch El Mariachi first.
Well, it's really weird, because
this is kind of the same movie, right?
And I think I pointed this out to you. This is kind of like an Evil Dead 2 situation, where this is a sequel, but it's also kind of a remake of the first movie. Like, we could do it on a bigger budget.
Right.
So, yeah, but the thing is...
Very lost. I didn't know who anybody was or what was happening.
Which I don't think it's... I thought it was pretty easy to follow. They kind of spell out who's who, and why were you so lost?
I don't really know.
I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't engaged. But the weird thing is, I could understand maybe, like... I can tell you one thing. I think it's okay as its individual movie, but I really do think that you'd appreciate it so much more if you sell El Mariachi.
That's very possible.
Which is funny, because I know our buddy here, who I know this is one of his favorite action movies. I don't think he's ever seen it. So I mean, clearly, and I think a lot of people.
You don't think he's ever seen El Mariachi?
No, I know he hasn't.
Yeah.
At least as we're recording this, I think a lot of people haven't. I think El Mariachi is kind of overlooked, and one of the things I really do like about Rodriguez and Tarantino is that Rodriguez, especially when we talk about Dusk Till Dawn, is you can tell his roots really are in the super low budget filmmaking because he's very practical. Yeah. He's very tight, and the fact that he gets the chance to play around with a lot of these things is pretty cool, and you see some of that. But I guess there's that appreciation with El Mariachi. I don't know if you'd like it more, but I think you'd understand what's going on because the characters are established. Possible. And this one makes more sense if you've seen that one.
Well, yes, that could be, because I didn't know who some of the people were. But also, there's a plot line where
the brother thing.
Banderas chooses not to kill.
You got mad, yeah.
This person, and we should say up front here, which we didn't, but if you're watching Dan's big movie, these are spoiler reviews.
Oh yeah,
we talk in depth about the movies. So if you've never seen the movies and you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and watch the movies. But I wanted to get that out of the way because we're going to talk some spoilers here. But there was a whole plot line where Salma Hayek was about to get murdered and Banderas saves her, but then he decides not to kill the person. And to me,
it's a good shot.
It was a fine shot, but there was no satisfactory answer for why. He half-heartedly gives one. Later,
he's a person.
She asks right away, and she's like, "What the hell was that?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know. We're both people.
You know what?
We've both been through it." And it's like, what?
Here's the thing. I know you get it because from a dramatic perspective, you're like, okay, I see this person. Should I really kill him?
Yeah.
And I think what they're going for is, you see, in El Mariachi, there's, like I said, the little plot again. The person that kills his wife that he gets revenge on is in that movie, and this is just the guy that worked for him.
I understand. So people are working for other people.
He's trying to get it. So maybe he feels like that's not the problem. But then you're thinking, well, what about all these other people you killed that didn't have anything directly to do with it?
Murdered a bunch of people that didn't have anything to do with it.
But this head guy, he feels so bad.
So what is your great defense about how wonderful this movie is?
Honestly,
you said you were going to be a big Desperado apologist.
I feel like I have to be because I don't think this is
I don't think it's very good.
I
don't think it's horrible. The action sequence is good.
Well, the action sequences are good. I think the acting is all pretty good.
It's serviceable. Except for Tarantino.
You think Buscemi was serviceable?
No, I think Buscemi was good. But he's in one scene.
He's in more than one scene. I'll tell you this. One of the frustrating things about it is that a lot of great people are killed too soon.
Yeah.
Look,
I agree.
Here's my defense. Cheech was funny. He was
killed too soon.
He was killed too soon. They made up
very early on.
I guess the way I look at it is this: I try to look at the main goal of the movie, and I think that I like a good revenge movie, and this hits all the beats. The story's fine. I'm invested enough in the characters because I do feel it from the performances and the music, like with the kid, the whole how drugs are affecting them. There's some good moments there. I think that they do a good job of basically keeping it contained into one area and feeling the effect of the town. I think Salma Hayek and Banderas have pretty good chemistry.
They do have chemistry, yes.
I think the villain is interesting because he's shown to be fallible. Like, he's got some good comedic moments. So the movie is a little tongue-in-cheek. The primary goal is to be a fun action movie, have those set pieces, have a decent enough story around it. I'm not saying it's all executed perfectly, but I think the main goal is fun action, and I'm fine with it.
Well, I think one of the things we talked about as well after the fact was that if I'm going to go watch a turn your brain off popcorn movie,
you want it to be real dumb.
Well,
because I think this is better than a Fast and Furious story-wise.
Well, what I was going to say though is I don't gravitate towards action movies in general.
Well, I guess
if I'm going to do a turn your brain off movie, I would rather do like a dumb comedy maybe, or even a dumb horror movie.
Well, okay.
But just explosions and people just shooting them up.
All right.
I need something more than that. I need something more than action sequences.
Well, that's fair, and there's a lot of movies I could say you could throw away. And I like action movies like that, especially movies with gunplay, if they're very well stylized, like a Wick.
Yeah.
Or there's a movie...
Wick is fine. Shoot 'em up is great.
There's a movie I really like, which I wouldn't mind you seeing sometime. It's a Bruce Willis movie.
Okay.
It reminds me a lot of this. It's basically a Western with gangsters in the 20s. It's called Last Man Standing. The movie is very...
The Tim Allen Show.
I'm about to curse on this video.
Go on now.
But the point is, that story is very simple.
Okay.
Very, very simple. Characters, maybe even less defined than this, but it's noirish, it's gritty, and it's mostly bloody gunfights, but that's the goal.
Okay.
And I'm fine with that. I get it's not for everybody. Like, I don't think this is as stylized a Wick, but there is some fun, cool signatures, and I think that's the main goal of the movie. And for the most fun, I was entertained. The last fight with all his buddies with the guitars, you said, that stuff was fun.
That was fine. Took an hour and 28 minutes to get there, but
all right. Okay.
Before we move on, because really this is
the appetizer.
The appetizer.
I know.
So
but I think it's fine.
Let's look at what Rotten had to say and what Ebert had to say.
Oh, good old Ebert.
We always look at the critics and the classic.
Because
what's nice is these movies are all more than 10 years old, so Ebert reviewed them.
And people have talked about it enough.
And we love Ebert. So all right, before we look, I give this movie.
I got my grade ready. I've had it ready for weeks.
I'll give it. C is like my top.
What?
I'm debating between a C or a C minus. I guess I'll give it a C.
Jeez. Well,
what do you give it?
I'm a whole letter grade above you. I think it's a B. It's pretty good.
No way is this a B.
It's fine.
Let's see. All right. Tomato meter, 64% from the critics.
Okay.
79% from audience, so that's good.
It's pretty well.
Now, of course, the problem with Rotten with some of these older movies is
how
they're not that many. Yeah, like some of them are taken from old newspapers or whatever, but a lot of them aren't, current, so they don't have that many. So that's only out of 45 reviews, which isn't huge. But the audience is out of 100,000 plus. Wow. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
64%, I think, might be high, but what are people saying about it? What are the critics
I always thought it was a pretty well enjoyed.
Mr. Rodriguez may be good enough to make a film about anything, but Desperado would collapse if its characters had anything to do with but play with guns or something. I read that wrong, but all right. The routine gets tiresome for the mariachi. Yeah, when they had all the mariachis, that was fine. But,
yeah, it was.
And for the audience, 2 out of 4, that's a C. Desperado is best when Rodriguez lets his playful side cut through the bear of a bored filmmaker. Maybe a rambling, this is a positive review, maybe a rambling, derivative exercise in gratuitous violence, but its determination to proceed as the word restraint never existed makes for gleeful entertainment. So that person likes checking his brain at the door with this kind of movie. All right. Now, here's Ebert. Now, okay, I gave it a C. Ooh. Ebert gives it 2 out of 4, which is right there in the middle.
Same grade he gave Fight Club and A Cloud Car.
Well, he's all over the place.
True. Never know.
He has a gift for visuals that can make scenes dance on the screen. I agree with that. Unfortunately, what he hasn't learned is how to structure a story. So we care about the violence more than on a technical level. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I agree. The story
Ebert does it again.
Is not the strong point.
All right. Well, now I think we're going to really have some talkers here.
Okay.
From Dusk Till Dawn, I got the 4-pack. With no subbies on here, so if you like subtitles, forget it.
Yeah, that was.
And there's some quiet chatter.
Yeah, I had to play with the volume.
And the very loud gunplay.
Yeah, that scared us. Yeah, at the beginning.
So essentially, this movie
was the actual movie.
Was the real deal. And so directed by Rodriguez.
Yes.
And this is the one right after.
Right after.
This was released about 5-6 months after Desperado.
Oh, nice. Makes sense.
So right after, and Tarantino not only wrote the film, but he stars in the film alongside Clooney.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was a vampire movie.
Kind of is.
And I much appreciate that I watched it with you because you know I hate a spoiler.
Yeah, spoilers aren't
You
good.
Also don't care for spoilers.
Not a fan.
So you get it. I said to Joe about...
But does anybody like spoilers?
Yes, people seek them out on the internet. And wring their necks.
That is true. What am I talking about?
It's their thing, whatever. But for me, no. I like to go into something without knowing every GD word that's coming
you'll
up.
ruin the movie, yeah.
So I said to you about 20, 25 minutes in, something like, I thought this was about vampires.
I'm like, yeah.
And you were like, yeah, I don't know. But you did know. You did know.
Oh, yeah, I know all
the
about
vampires come literally
an hour
in. And so it's almost 2 completely separate movies. And I would say that's my biggest issue with this movie. And I don't have many.
That was actually
certainly a much better movie than Desperado.
Honestly, it's my only issue with the movie.
No, I have a few, but my biggest issue is that it is tonally 2 completely separate
smushed
movies.
Together, yeah.
Not just a little bit off.
No, it's literally one movie, and then it's another movie.
Yep.
And very little build up between two movies, and then they finish off, and it's like, wait,
correct.
I feel like we just dropped back into another movie. They literally drop you into another movie, and then like, okay, well.
Yes, and expect you to roll with it. And to be honest,
mostly
I enjoy probably the second film better than the drama. Well, first of all, Tarantino gets murdered, so that's always good. No, look, he was really on my nerves.
This movie?
With the first hour of the movie.
Well, is it the acting or was it the character more?
I think it was both. He clearly wrote himself an annoying character.
Yeah.
But
I think he got okay with it.
There is, a very famous trope about Tarantino and feet. And I joked that they took a hostage, this woman from the bank. We didn't see them take her, but she's part of it.
Yeah.
And it's explained she works at the bank. So Clooney leaves. They're brothers, him and Tarantino.
Yes.
So Clooney leaves to go do something, whatever, and leaves Tarantino, with this woman. And I made some
joke,
pithy comment about, now he's going to take her shoes off.
Because she wants to sit on the bed, yeah.
He literally, within seconds of me saying that, says, take off your shoes. So I was like, okay, right there. Then number 2, there was other stuff about the feet with Juliette
there was a
Lewis's
shot of
character.
her toes right after that.
And then number 3...
The biggest scene of all.
The biggest scene was Salma Hayek, who is this stripper who turns out is a vampire. But before that part, she's, doing her sexy dance with the snake, and she literally rubs a bunch of alcohol on her feet.
Drips down.
Drips it off her leg, real sexy-like, which it is. Salma Hayek's very sexy.
She did dance
and
well.
then there's literally a scene
of
Tarantino just jumping down on toes. Give me a damn break. I know that you like feet, and you pointed out this was before we all knew. Yeah, there were some feet in Pulp Fiction. We knew that.
I don't know the chronology, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the first scripts he ever wrote because everything
with the feet
seems like this is a carryover from his teenage years or something.
I didn't appreciate it. I thought it was gratuitous. I thought it was annoying.
Well, look. Well, first of all,
I guess if I didn't know about all the feet stuff.
Okay, I think that might be adding to it.
It could.
I don't think you'd care as much otherwise.
Probably, you're right.
In context, remember. Plus, also with everything else about this movie, Rodriguez and Tarantino, big throwback exploitation people. So,
yes,
a long gratuitous scene of a woman dancing would be you'd see that in the 70s.
That's true.
So I'm actually okay with that. Though I will admit, this is literally This is the foot fetish.
Well, you're right. You said that. This is just his wet dream.
And I'm thinking, look, there are two filmmakers hitting it big. Like, hey, Robert, can I have a scene? Sure, why not? I'm using your script for this movie.
And
so
look,
whatever.
I think we can all agree.
If everybody had fun with it, I guess it's fine. Hopefully,
we can all agree. Well,
that the man likes feet. Yeah, I don't.
We can all agree on that. But no, we can all agree that much like we think he definitely maybe should have had a co-writing credit on Desperado. I think it's safe to say he could have had a co-directing job on this because there were definitely some shots that were very Tarantino.
Some of the pullbacks, the close-ups, like just some of his quick shots, like there were, and a lot of the line delivery too, the way the lines were delivered. Like you could tell there was probably some hints there. Even though I pointed out to you, even the opening scene, which is kind of cool with the sheriff and the clerk. Which is a cool scene. That was very much directed differently because the way the characters were talking didn't seem overly animated. So and you're just thinking the dialogue's very Tarantino, but clearly directed by someone else, where he played straight. And I was like, I kind of thought that was interesting, like seeing it in someone else's hands. So.
And look, at that point in the movie, I was okay with his acting; it was fine. But the further he got into
the creepy,
like I want to lick Juliette Lewis and all of this stuff. It was never fully explained.
If he was,
is this character delusional, hallucinating? What is his ailment? We never find out.
The exposition is literally in the news with Kelly Preston. She's like, he's a sex offender, so we know he's got problems. We see him hallucinate, so he's got mental issues. But the backstory
it's written so poorly.
Very light. There's very little establishment for the characters.
And then he takes Harvey Keitel as hostage. Him and Juliette Lewis and this Asian kid are in Scott. Yeah,
remember his name.
Good job. Are in the hotel. Like across the way or whatever, in the room, and so they take them hostage because they need a getaway vehicle, whatever. They have a motorhome. Okay, fine. So then it started to get interesting
when they're all interacting.
Once we see him with the family and everything.
The hostage road trip movie.
Hostage road trip. I liked Clooney and Keitel up front.
Yeah, they were good.
Doing their bits. Hated whenever they did the Tarantino and Juliette Lewis creep part.
I think you're supposed to hate it though. A little bit.
I think it's. Yeah, I agree. I
think it was like when they shot it uncomfortably. I felt that was the point.
I believe that yes, Tarantino purposely wrote himself a gross character, but he's just never explained properly.
True.
You know,
they're bad guys, and that's it.
Yeah. Now, before we go to part 2 of the movie,
movie 2,
which is like by far better,
actually,
but you do need a lot. I agree. You need a lot of exposition with Keitel and the kids to get to that point.
And they're also the more likable. We said they're kind of the main characters. Actually, you cared more about them.
Absolutely.
So you knew more about them as characters.
But let's talk about Clooney.
Clooney was good.
So Clooney is, as you know, I think one of my favorite modern actors.
But he's always the same.
He's always Clooney. Mm-hmm. Which
but not always.
I can appreciate. Well, in the 90s, he was not always Clooney because it was before
Clooney.
Well, yeah, it was before he was established. It's funny. I'm actually watching this TV show, The Facts of Life, from the 80s, which is one of his starts.
Okay.
Long before ER.
Is he different?
And yeah, I mean, he's still playing kind of like a Playboy type character. And he's got like the, it's 80s, so he's got like the feathered hair.
Picture with long hair.
He is still
kind of
a sort of ladies' man, Don Juan type of thing. Mm-hmm. But he also gets knows a lot, so his ego isn't quite. His ego is not.
You seem upset.
Quite like what he is now.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Now you see him in a movie, and he's always
calm,
ladies are throwing themselves at him. Michael Clayton, all of it.
Yeah.
Is that the quote where he's the lawyer? And
where
the car blows up or whatever.
Yeah.
Ides of March,
Great movie.
We've seen it.
Good. Film fanatics.
But nowadays, the last 10, 15 years, sure, he's always Clooney.
Same man. Yeah.
Same man. But here, this was shortly after ER began. So he was really just getting his start.
And that's why Tarantino directed that episode of ER.
And Tarantino directed the episode of ER. Yeah, it's all coming together.
Makes sense.
And what's interesting is Tarantino has worked with a lot of his buddies since, but not him again, I don't think.
Yeah, I would.
Brad Pitt, certainly, and a lot of his friends, but...
Honestly, after this, I guess this is more of a Rodriguez thing, but I'm surprised he didn't come back more, because I think he would have fit well in a Tarantino movie, actually.
Depending on the movie, I agree.
Yeah, he could have...
I do agree.
Could have seen him as a character. But yeah.
But anyway, so here he is not quite the Clooney that we know, the full Clooney.
I like this character.
When did that start, you think? I have an idea. I think it started... Now, I haven't seen his whole filmography. I think it started with Oceans.
Yes.
When he started doing the Danny Ocean bit.
Yes. Because when I think of stereotypical Clooney with the smooth talking guy, slick, he's got the lines coming out quickly. Let me tell you how it is. But I feel like that's Clooney right there.
And we see shades of that in this and other projects.
The Man with the Plan.
Where he's sort of, Man with the Plan, he's taking over.
He's the calm one, calming people down. And I love, and this is a classic Clooney thing where he when he's constantly telling people he's threatening to murder them brutally, but hey, if you do what I'm saying.
I was just going to say that.
He's so polite, but he's also menacing.
There's a few scenes in this movie where he does that. He will
loved it.
Sort of because he's soft spoken.
Just trust me.
And he is, still attractive.
I promise I won't blow your head off.
If you just listen to me. And they...
Listen.
Now, if the Tarantino character went that way, they wouldn't believe it.
They'd just try to run.
Because it would be, ill-advised. But so I do think it's interesting, and we talked while we were watching it about maybe doing at some point a double of Oh Brother. What was the other one? Out of Sight, maybe?
Batman and Robin.
Oh, Batman and Robin. You want me to watch Batman and Robin, which is fine.
Actually, because I want to see if you still like Clooney. But I'll spoil something for you a little bit. I would still say that when Clooney is Bruce Wayne out of the costume, he's doing a full Clooney.
Is that right?
And I liked him in it.
Okay.
But it's weird because the rest of the movie's not quite like that.
I think. Okay.
He's pretty standard with his...
I think Affleck's kind of a Affleck when he's Bruce Wayne.
Angry Affleck.
Bit of an angry Affleck.
He's a bit grumpier, but...
I guess that's true. More like a runner Affleck.
No one...
to point one of your favorites out.
I hate that movie.
Terrible movie.
Edited badly,
So, all right. So that's a good Clooney. We like Clooney in this.
Yes.
And Keitel, of course.
Keitel was
no mistaking that.
Actually playing a very different character too, much more restrained. Yes. I liked his character a lot.
Who is your favorite character of the film before we move to part 2 of the movie? I think
Tom Savini.
No. Well,
to be honest with you.
All right. How about from the main?
Okay, you're right. We haven't gotten to that part of the movie yet.
Is it Keitel? Or is it Clooney?
It's one of those two.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the two.
It's probably Keitel because he's the
Juliette
good guy.
Lewis is good too.
All right, Juliette Lewis is good.
As always.
But I'll tell you what,
I'm a fan.
Keitel, I think he's right up there acting wise with Clooney, and his arc, he's the most fleshed out, growing character
for sure
in the movie by far.
Yeah.
So it's Keitel, though Clooney is a close second.
Yeah,
I actually liked all the main people that survived, or kept going.
Yeah.
But Juliette Lewis is good.
Yeah, Juliette Lewis is good.
Kid was good. I liked him a lot.
We liked. Never saw him again in anything, but
sadly, but
as far as I know,
good on him.
All right, so part 2 of this movie.
Movie 2, actual Dusk Till Dawn.
Is where the real
the actual
show.
Movie.
Okay.
Not the prelude.
The prelude.
The 1 hour prologue.
I don't know what you call that, but the real from Dusk Till Dawn about the vampires, and it says it on the sign in the bar.
Yeah, it's open from Dusk
Till Dawn. Yeah. All right, so they go in. Bartender's Danny Trejo. They have an exchange with him.
And Cheech the bouncer.
Now,
this is his least favorite part.
Okay, so Cheech,
I thought it was fine.
Cheech Marin, of course, Cheech and Chong. So he was in Desperado, obviously. Him and Rodriguez clearly are both Mexican. That they probably have similar backgrounds, whatever.
I'll tell you something. I liked him better in Desperado as the bartender.
Well, I did too.
He wasn't five people.
So here he plays 3 different roles. And in 2 of them, it was one right in the next scene.
And also, I guess 2 of them were the same location, too.
And 2 of them were at the same location, at the bar. So one was the cop at the border, and then the very next scene, he's the bouncer at the club. And I even said to you, I'm like, was he playing the same character? I don't understand. And you were like, well, I think that's the gag. Well, it stinks. All right,
I thought it was fine.
This is not a 60s sitcom where they have the same person come in,
Dan,
move episode by episode.
This half of the movie's trying to be fun. You're allowed to have some fun.
I can have some fun. Breaks immediately. I can have some fun. That's fine. It was stupid. It wasn't a good gag. It was corny. And then he shows up at the end, too, as the
main
drug
guy
dealer or
trying
whatever.
to meet
It's
up
like,
with.
Jesus.
That was
too
much.
So at this point, eventually, we get to the vampire part.
Which is cool.
Because first, they're not welcome there.
They're doing a bad job of trying to keep... Well, they're bad criminals, by the way.
Okay.
They're badly written criminals. Or just incompetent criminals.
Should be...
He's supposed to be the cool one. And then he's starting to start fights.
And then he just... His character makes no sense. His character... I gotta say... That you said this is maybe one of the first Tarantino that he wrote.
I think
I believe it because these characters are not fleshed out at all, except for Keitel. Keitel's the only one, and we still never.
And the one.
We still don't know why he has a Chinese kid.
No. They didn't establish.
They didn't establish that at all, and
probably adopted.
Clooney even.
Why do people
probably? Care? But like Clooney, I care because Clooney actually made a point of it. He's like, well, you don't look Japanese, and he's like, oh yeah, well he's not Japanese either, he's Chinese. He's like, okay.
I remember when we watched The Lost World, and you were angry that Jeff Goldblum's daughter is black. Who cares? They're adopted. Why does it have to be explained? But it doesn't matter.
Listen, the only time I didn't care about it was Fantastic Four because I was waiting for them to do something.
To say something about it.
I was too busy. No, just
to
show action in the movie. No, listen. Normally it's whatever. It's fine. But because Clooney specifically brings it up, why don't they ever talk about it? Doesn't matter to me. I have 2 adopted siblings. Yes, I don't care. But
you know what? That's a good point.
We can assume it. But why are they bringing it up then?
Probably because he thought about it and forgot and decided it wasn't important.
Oh my god!
Because he wanted to get it into the vampire movie. Look. The movie's here. So that Robert Rodriguez and Tom Savini, the real hero of this movie.
Let's talk about it now.
I'm just.
Tom Savini is one of your true film heroes.
Recently, because
if you don't know the name.
Well,
he does a lot of effects.
Yeah, I've just kind of been trying to get more into the low budget, horror movies and stuff. And Tom Savini is one of the masters of practical effects and horror. So
much so that I've heard the name.
Yeah,
and it's not like I follow horror movies or practical effects guys. I've heard of it.
I saw him for some of his stuff. You can watch YouTube videos of him being a guest on Letterman or whatever, and one of those people. He was in the Dawn of the Dead.
You know what? Maybe that's why I've heard of him. Because Conan used to bring on effects artists and have him do stuff. Maybe he was one of the Conan guests. He was on too. I think he could have done Letterman too. I think
it was Conan.
I bet that's how I know.
Because I think he came back a couple times to one person. Maybe it is Conan. Please find out later. But my buddy. He did a lot of Friday the 13th, a bunch of other movies. But I recently discovered the guy, and he also loves to like be in the movies and be the effects.
Well, not only was he in this movie,
he was awesome.
He got killed like 6 different times.
That's really cool.
And each time, like he either severed his head,
or exploded, or gets impaled.
And you were loving it.
I
were like, oh, he must have made that effect himself.
I just appreciate the creativity. I love the low budget stuff and seeing the roots of Rodriguez. Knowing he came from making his movie with very little money, El Mariachi, and him and Tarantino. I love
the bulk of this budget, this $15 million budget, went to the effects.
In the whole bar.
Clooney wasn't creating big paychecks then.
No, and I'm just like,
other than maybe paying Keitel a bit, I doubt the actors got paid a lot.
I'll be honest.
Cheech probably did it for scale.
Probably, but I'll tell you, Dan, I did not realize how good the effects in this movie were. Like, I was loving these monsters, the costumes, the animatronics, puppetry, even the CGI transitions with some of the gore. I'm like, this was cool stuff.
Well, and it went on.
They kept
because after they kill all the main vampires, then the bats start coming in.
The bats
Hotel Transylvania style.
Yeah,
and that's how I know it. And so they then also turned into vampires. So then we had to kill 2 sets of vampires, and then some of the actors
turned into vampires, and you see versions of them. Tarantino, Savini, the black character who was cool, who also got a fleshed out backstory of Vietnam, which was cool.
I love that. That was a good backstory.
That monologue while Savini's turning into a vampire.
It was cool when Keitel got his head blown off. We saw like half of his face. That was really cool.
Like just the practical stuff was amazing.
Yes, I think that is
the best thing about the
listen, I was going to say, in addition to some of the acting, specifically Clooney and Keitel, and I guess the kids.
Yeah, kids are pretty good.
I think the effects and, again, like Desperado, the action sequences.
Yeah, the whole set piece.
It wasn't just the effects. It was and when you think about
how well it's directed, and
when you think about it, the entire, we said this was 2 different movies. Part 2 of this movie takes place entirely
one location.
In that location. Now, yes, they go in the back room at one point for a little bit, but then they come right back out to the main room for the last 20 minutes again.
That's awesome.
Which you don't see very much.
No, and that's classic low budget filmmaking.
Yeah.
We'll try to do one location, and they utilized it with bigger budget for their creatures, and I think it's cool. They had all the build up, and I guess you care about the characters enough that now they're in this vampire situation, and you care.
Well, and it's largely what do you call that when it's like by the minute? I forget the term for that, but like when it's real time.
Oh
like
it's all. They don't cut to like hours.
Pretty much in real time.
A consistent and that last half hypes up the tension. Like we were jumping a couple times, and
there was a couple times I jumped.
And when our characters are getting bit, you're like, oh no.
Especially when that it might have been Savini actually when she first turned into the vampire came up on Juliette Lewis or Black Eye or whatever it was.
Yeah, and bit his neck or something.
Oh my god!
And it didn't pull punches. I mean, the kid gets it. Spoilers, and Keitel got it, and it's this emotional moment, and like. I'm not saying it's the scariest horror movie, but it has a good balance of fun and horror, and you care about the characters. There's the good doing horror well is in the sequence.
Okay, but it is all in the sequence. How do you feel though about it being 2 completely separate movies? Because the first hour was 0 horror, 0 thriller. Really, I mean, that lady gets killed, but we don't really see it.
You got the psycho brother. There's some tension with the Clooney.
But that's more creep. That's not really horror or thriller.
I'll tell you what, Dan. The thriller element for me actually came from Clooney. Because like I said, when he's giving
he does a couple of
the close-ups, I felt genuinely more scared than of Tarantino.
Well, yeah. So he gives a couple of, I'm going to kill you or whatever.
Yeah, I like those. So there was some of
threats.
That. But I think once you get to meet the family, it kind of lightens up sort of a little bit. I think the cool thing about it is like dissecting the early origins of Tarantino, his writing style, and just seeing this, I'm like, well, this is clearly a pre-Reservoir Dogs, got bank robbers on the run, botched robbery. These characters are similar to that. So it seems like he really just wanted to do partially this crime movie, which he usually does. And interestingly enough,
genres.
It's pretty much one of his main genres. But Tarantino has said that he would never really do a horror movie because he didn't think he'd do it well. and he kind of did do one. And the weird thing is, I think with Rodriguez at least, I think he could have done a pretty good one. But it's weird that it's like he couldn't commit to doing a whole movie just because if they cut, because in most movies like this, we would have had like 15, 20 minutes to set up.
Right.
And then
we would have seen some shades of it somewhere in the first part.
If it was intentional, I honestly think that it's just a matter of a lot of the build-up that he's really good at with the conversations. And I'll try to throw in a vampire thing, which I think works pretty well. But I actually think the vampire stuff really works well because of Rodriguez's direction. Because
I agree.
More attuned to his style.
Look, like we've said in Desperado and with the kids' movies, he shoots action sequences
really well.
Very well. So it's his bag.
I think there's a good marriage here. I just kind of wish that the only real problem I have with it is I don't mind it's a surprise they go and it's suddenly a vampire. That's kind of interesting. I just don't like the fact he literally, I mean, I guess it's tongue in cheek, but even a couple lines where they could maybe. Well, I guess they do that at the end when they reveal why it was a vampire place.
Right.
Okay, but a little bit more of the lore expansion on that place. I actually
did, that
was kind of a cool.
I actually really liked the ending shot.
That was so I was wondering.
I liked that.
So we're not really going to explain the vampires. Like, actually, that says a lot with just one image.
That explains a bit.
So I'm conflicted. Like, I think some of it's kind of clever and daring. I don't think it was unintentional. I think he literally was doing a tongue in cheek. It's a crime movie. Boom. They're vampires who know.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too.
He says it in the script. Like it's kind of like, we're in a vampire movie now, and I'm along for the ride. So I think the only thing I didn't like was I thought the ending after Juliette Lewis loses her whole family. I don't. Really,
I hated that.
I didn't really feel like there was.
They didn't do anything with it.
There was no resolution of
Clooney leaves her. It's like you don't want to go to El Rey, and I said to you, I'm like, well, I don't get it.
There's no speech. There's no conversation. We were like, so it just feels like right there, their arcs kind of don't fully complete, and that's actually my biggest issue with movies. The two remaining characters, I guess Clooney sort of grew, learned something, but her, she just.
She's lost her family.
Lost everything. So it just feels like he could have fleshed out that part a little more. But that's actually my biggest issue with it.
Okay.
Actually, with the whole plot in it.
I clearly had several.
Yes.
And this is certainly a positive grade from me.
Cool.
How could it not be?
Yeah. But now you're making me rethink my Desperado grade.
Well, yeah. If you're giving Desperado a B, this has got to be. Top 50 of all time. I mean, I think my C for Desperado was actually quite fair.
Okay.
To be honest. So you're thinking B minus now. For
Desperado. I think that maybe I was.
All right. Yeah. Let's go to the board.
I was about to say let's go to
the Rotten on Dusk Till Dawn and see what people are saying.
What did Ebert say about it?
Well, so what I forget now what we said on Desperado.
62 and 79, remember?
Something like that, yeah. All right, so Dusk Till Dawn is 62 on the critics.
It's about the same.
Well, that's almost exactly the same. And then the audience is also about the same, with 250,000 audience ratings.
Which I feel like these are very similar vibed movies. I
agree.
I think the thing is, this one's a bit more messy, and the other one's just a little more underdeveloped, but they're...
Yeah, I mean... I'm interested. All right, so let's look at what the... all right, so the first two are negatives. Robert Rodriguez pushes the envelope but fails to make any lasting impression except revulsion at the spectacle of acclaimed independent filmmakers wasting their talents. All right, that's a little unfair. Entertainment Weekly. Now, this gave it a B minus, which I think is low, but imagine two movies plucked from opposite sides of the video store. Entertainment Weekly gets it again. They're right. They're right. I think his grade's a little harsh, but he's absolutely right. All right, a tired, humorless pastiche. That's okay.
The whole movie's kind of humor.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Humorless pastiche.
Here you go. Here's a positive one. A deliciously trashy, exuberantly vulgar, lavishly appointed exploitation picture.
There you go.
This weird combo of roadkill movie and martial arts vampire gore fest is made to order for the stimulation of teenage boys. Literally. I don't necessarily agree with the last part because I'm not a teenage boy and I don't even like girls, so I'm not your typical boy anyway.
I think it's a little bit of a narrower view, yeah.
I think this could be enjoyed by more people than that, for sure.
It's a fun... Well, you know what, though? If you don't like violence, you don't like the exploitation and the vulgarness...
But okay, here's the thing,
if you're too timid...
my mom would like it.
Yeah,
okay, that's fine.
My mom would like it.
But, you know me and certain gore effects. I don't like it if it's too gory
Well,
typically.
Also, if it's a very serious, like, horror movie that's much more frightening, then the gore might...
Yes.
Like Evil Dead, the remake.
I enjoy more of... Like, let's to think about a recent Tarantino, one of our favorites. The shootout at the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's some, gory things that happen.
But
There's some crazy things. But it's all so ridiculous, over the top. And I think this...
It's in that line.
This is not quite as over the top as that. But we are talking about vampires. So
it's very...
automatically, it's, not realistic.
It's very detailed, though, like, in terms of the quality of it. But you're right, the content is kind of silly. So the creature explodes, but it's not like a mirror. So.
Based on an early Tarantino script, Rodriguez's movie is an incoherent B-pick in which the sensibilities of the two filmmakers clash. I don't think there's a clash at all. I think the two filmmakers are very in sync.
I actually think they should work together more.
I agree. I just think Tarantino's script, as we said, is very underwritten, especially with the characters.
This is an early one, though. Maybe that's why I'm giving him a little.
All right, so let's go to Ebert.
Yeah,
he gave Desperado 2.
Yeah, okay.
Ebert and the.
I don't really know about Ebert.
I don't know why we look at him, but.
3.
Okay. And that's more.
That's more than
I like that.
Okay.
From Dusk Till Dawn. Oh, it tells you where it's streaming. That's just for rent. So it's streaming nowhere for free, unfortunately. That's why I had to buy it.
Pay for it.
I did buy the
DVD
buy the secondhand.
DVD with no subtitles.
Genre hopping like that is a specialty of Quentin Tarantino.
It's true.
Whose work sometimes resembles channel surfing. I can't necessarily deny that, but never...
Well, he combines a lot of things.
Never such a wide swing at one time. Yeah, like he combines a lot of things in the same... parts of movies.
That's actually a good point, though, because this is an early example of that. Think about it. All his other movies combine different genres much more seamlessly.
I would agree with that. Would you be surprised to learn? Now, I didn't do much research on these movies. I don't usually do it on the Dan's Big Movie Show, but
I was interested.
I like to have a couple of little tidbits.
Yes.
Would you be surprised to learn this actually was originally intended to be a sequel to a Tales from the Crypt movie that came out shortly before this. They were going to do a trilogy of Tales from the Crypt movies. And so this was originally going to be in that line. This was going to be in the second one. They scrapped it to make Bordello of Blood instead, which I've never seen. Dennis Miller, right?
Watched it when I was probably too young to watch it.
So stupid.
Well, hey.
But Tales from the Crypt is always over the top with effects. It makes sense.
Well, honestly, the effects would be and actually be more intense than a Tales from the Crypt, but this seems very much in line with them. I like that show. I gotta watch more of that again. I love that show.
I think I might have the box.
We should review that sometime. I haven't seen many of those.
Yeah, we could do that maybe.
Crypt Keeper's cool.
Now see, Ebert says I like the first half best.
Well,
after the title sequence, we get to know the central characters. I don't think we do. Maybe Clooney a little, but then what does he say about the second half? It stinks.
Something about the monster effects.
Yeah, I don't know. All I can really say about the last 30 minutes is if you liked Dawn of the Dead, you'll like this. Well, you do like Dawn of the Dead.
I do, actually.
The plot is forgotten as Rodriguez goes through. But okay, here's where I disagree with that. Because yes, as a plot in general, it's a little, but the character development skyrockets.
Yeah, it's actually where the growth really happens.
Absolutely. So, all right.
Because the inciting incident, really.
Yes, I agree. So, Ebert, you're half right. I think this is. I think this movie has a lot of problems.
It does,
and I think it is at odds with itself, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving this movie with a B.
Okay, well, I would agree with you there, because I do think... See, I actually think Desperado, the characters are better established, the story is more fluid, not a conflict.
I actually might agree with that in terms of maybe two of the characters.
Okay, but the plot is, it's not like two things joining together.
Right.
But I think this movie is more interesting and ambitious, and I fell in love with the whole vampire sequence. There's some great creativity there, so I'd agree with the B. I was thinking B+, but I'm like, it's the character growth's a bit low, and the two movies do kind of jam, but that didn't bother me that much, because I kind of liked how tongue-in-cheek it was.
Well, look, I'll be honest. Maybe if we had watched this in 96, after only having seen
couple
Reservoir and
we would have been all... And
I think I would have had a much different feeling about it.
Oh, yeah.
And we always do try to, when we review these old movies, we do try to think, okay, how might people of the time have seen this? But I think knowing more about Tarantino's style now helps this movie.
Yeah.
So I could see why maybe Ebert was a little bit
the building blocks, because think
but...
about it. This is something he wrote probably before Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs,
right?
And or maybe even True Romance. And so this is an early script, probably one of his earlier ones that he's putting out there. So it's not as developed. So you're seeing some of his older work kind of afterwards,
right?
Hands of a different director. You know, so maybe you'll be harder on what Tarantino doing? He's better than this. Well, this is I don't know, an older idea. It's just, you can tell this was born of just a young person that watched a lot of movies. Ooh, I'll make a cool, I don't know, think about it. He's never done a supernatural movie.
The selfishness, though, of putting himself in the movie when he is a subpar actor.
Look,
the only thing I can think of is he probably did it for free.
He's got an ego.
And that's
and think about it. You
his main downfall, I think.
You hired George Clooney, and...
It is. I mean,
well, he likes what he does, and he's good at it. It goes to his head a little, maybe. But George Clooney is there. You can hire Quentin on the cheap.
Yes. I guarantee you, Quentin and Cheech did it for the food, the craft services.
I'll do it to hang out, we'll just make a movie, and I think that's cool.
I think that's fine.
And I think if you're having fun with it, you could cast yourself in it. It's not unheard of.
But the problem is, like in Desperado, he's playing off of
minor
people that are
not really
average actors.
Sure.
Cheech Marin, I mean, he's funny as Cheech and Chong, but let's be serious. Here, he's playing off of George Clooney, who's still early, but he's still a great actor.
When they're acting together.
And Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
It's like...
They're much better, yeah.
When you're in a scene with Cheech, you're facing off against Clooney, I think you're going to have problems.
On my downtime at work, sometimes I'll find myself watching interviews of directors, is what I've been doing lately.
Yes.
And I watched some of Tarantino's. I watched one from 97.
Okay.
And Tarantino didn't really go to school much for filmmaking, but the only real education he had was acting. He wanted to be an actor first, more than any other aspect of filmmaking. And
that's a shame, because he's much better at other things.
And so this is around the time when he was really trying to still act too.
Yeah.
And right after this, I think after Jackie Brown is when he went in to try and do Broadway, which didn't last very long, because he apparently didn't do very well. And then you don't hear much about that. So he's not a very good actor, but that's fine, because he's so great at so many other things. He just, he's probably let that go.
And look, here's the thing.
Young you're writing off Pulp Fiction. I can do
writing
anything.
Off Pulp Fiction. As a young man, that's fine.
I believe it.
I'm glad that he's decided, other than Django, to mostly
do a little
pull back from that stuff, and more focus on the director. Literally,
it was a joke. It was a bit.
But
you exploded. He made himself explode.
The movie was already so long. They could have just sliced it.
Okay.
But the point is, as a film, critic, or he is really a student of film.
He knows movies.
It's funny that you said he never went to school for that, because I think he really has studied, his own way.
Well, he watched movies, took notes, and learned. Yeah.
He is one of the great sort of
video store
people to go. Yes,
he is.
He is great in interviews because he is enthusiastic about movies.
He loves movies.
Look,
a lot. He loves watching movies.
You'll appreciate this.
Hope so.
I don't know if I've ever told you this, but
I love new things.
When he was a guest on American Idol once.
Oh, you did tell me that.
It was the season.
That's awesome.
It was back in the day, when Simon Cowell was on and Randy Jackson, but he was the guest judge for the week, and he was just exuberant. You could sense how excited he was just to do it and try something different and to talk to people, and da-da-da. And that's just who he is. And I like that.
He's just, what you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get, but don't act, because he's not good at it.
Unless you're playing yourself.
I guess so, yeah. He's done all right by that. All right, so next and finally, in the 3-movie sandwich here.
Yeah, triple decker.
Is True Romance. Now, this is one I had always heard about. It was out in the early 90s. I was in high school. I guess I just started high school. I think it was 91. But this is a movie that sort of was a bomb upon release.
Yeah.
And then became a huge
cult hit. Yeah.
Cult hit between VHS and I guess,
Word
probably cable runnings and stuff, although I can't imagine watching this on cable. Because it would just be cut to...
It would be 90 minutes
it was like
long.
HBO or something. Oh, in 93, okay, so I was actually a sophomore, junior in high school.
Mm-hmm. I love this.
This is a very cool set. It's actually 2 discs, so I would actually like to check out what's on Disc 2. It's all the deleted scenes, alternate ending, cast and crew highlights. I do believe there's a Tarantino commentary. Learn about your favorite characters as you listen to Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, Brad Pitt, and Michael Rappaport discuss their roles. All right, that's very good.
Val Kilmer.
All right. And, there you go. 3 feature-length audio commentaries. One is Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette. One is director Tony Scott.
And one for Tarantino.
And one is Tarantino. That's very interesting.
Those would be some cool
I feel like I'd listen to all of those.
I need to listen to more commentaries, man.
Yeah, commentaries are great.
I need to do it more.
They really for movies that you really like.
I gotta.
It's very cool. It was great doing it to the Freaks and Geeks episodes. It was really nice to sort of get that input.
Watch those episodes. Plug
for my Freaks and Geeks show with Joe. But that sounds great. So I was a little worried when I saw Unrated Director's Cut.
We're not watching the actual cut.
I think for a review show like this, it's always best to watch the cut that people saw in theaters,
people know.
Whatever. But I looked it up. This is really the only place I guess you can get it. But the only reason it's Unrated Director's Cut is because it adds like a few extra scenes of like blood and gore and violence, just seconds here and there.
Okay.
And then there's one scene that has an extra minute on it, and that's it.
Look,
so I'm fine with that. So basically the same movie.
We all know best director's cut is still Daredevil.
Daredevil actually was the best, and Batman v Superman was also very good.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Things that changed the movie entirely for the better.
Sometimes. Yeah. What a cast, man!
Let's just go over the list. I mean, I mentioned some of them in the commentaries: Slater, Arquette, Hopper, Kilmer, Oldman, Pitt, Walken,
Grammer.
Expendables 3.
I knew
you could tell. All the action heroes, and then Kelsey Grammer. No, Kelsey Grammer's not in this.
No, not this one.
But I mean, that is a murderer's row.
I don't think you could have
top
a
actors.
much better cast than that. One
and
movie.
This also is the real height of some of these people. Now, Brad Pitt was just starting out, but Christian Slater was riding high off of Heathers, Pump Up the Volume, some of his big hits. Dennis Hopper, of course, was just a year away from Speed.
Yeah.
But of course, that was really his big comeback. This and Speed.
That's awesome.
I feel like,
Guess
and
before
then
that, yeah.
Kilmer was coming off of things like The Doors.
He'd been on Top
when did
Gun
he play
before.
Batman?
That was after this. 95.
Okay, 95. Okay, so before
But Tombstone's the same year as this.
Tombstone,
Yeah.
very hot movie there. Gary Oldman, of course.
Always
good.
I can't wait to talk about him.
Walken, I mean, Walken's never not been good, but like I feel like
also
90s was when he really started to rise up with the Pulp Fiction stuff.
I don't even know where to begin with this one, but before I forget, I'm sure we'll talk about it anyway, but that's like the main people build, but you got Sam Jackson in a little part. Gandolfini's got a really good
these
part.
are just people on the back.
I got Sizemore's got a role.
Sizemore.
And there's the
guy from Frasier that played Daphne's husband.
Yeah, he's the lawyer. He's the Hollywood producer guy. I feel like there's
who else? Yeah, I feel like there was another. Who was the guy that was his like assistant or whatever? He was famous.
Oh, he thought your buddy, Rappaport.
Yeah, I like. Oh, Michael Rappaport. Yeah, Michael Rappaport.
I liked him from Heat, from the Heat. Not Heat, but The Heat.
Yeah, The Heat.
I like that guy. I didn't realize he did movies this early.
He did a lot of movies. And then who? Oh, and then the guy I recognize from Perfect
Chris
Strangers.
Penn's in this.
Bronson Pinchot. Chris
Penn
is in it. Conchata Ferrell from 2.5 Men is in it.
Oh yeah, she's the
Tom Sizemore. You said, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, this is. Look, Tony Scott,
brother of Ridley.
Brother of Ridley, of course. Now, I would say overall Ridley does the better movies, but Ridley also does a lot of crap movies too.
I think Tony's
more consistent now. He's dead now, but I didn't see a lot of these, but I've seen Crimson Tide. It's one of my favorite action movies. True Romance, of course. Enemy of the State I've seen.
Movie.
That's
Man
Will
on
Smith.
Fire.
You love Man on Fire. Top Gun, I think, is actually bad.
I think it's a little overrated.
People love it.
I don't like Top Gun.
Last Boy Scout, I heard was
the
bad.
Kilmer connection, though.
Actually, that's true.
You're right.
So, all right. Days of Thunder, he did that.
That's okay.
All right. And Man on Fire.
The movie.
Oh, Pelham 1, 2, 3, I liked.
Nice.
All right. So, I think he's also maybe a little inconsistent, but
he doesn't. Well, look, Ridley Scott. Alien.
Yeah.
Gladiator.
Yeah.
And then
crap.
Yeah.
I love The Martian.
I forget that's it.
New crap.
But
new good. But then the Counselor's horrible.
He's got this big filmography, a couple classics. Tony, I feel like people underrated, but I think more consistent quality of his range, I guess.
And let's never forget that Tony and Ridley, both executive producers on The Good Wife, my favorite.
It all comes together.
So it all comes together. This, I don't mind saying at the top of my lineup here, this is my favorite of the three.
Well, me too.
By a clear mile.
Yeah.
I mean, we've not done this bit for too long, the Dan's Big Movie, but this is the fourth one.
Yeah.
But so far,
I like this bit.
The first one has been the best of the two. We did Pee-wee.
Yeah.
First one was certainly better. Second one, Charlie's Angels. First one's a bit better.
Better, yeah.
And then the third one we did was Dick Tracy in the Shadow.
Oh, Dick Tracy
much better. But this one, reverse.
Yeah.
I thought this was a great movie. Now, this was written by Tarantino.
Yeah.
Which is why we picked it.
Really tell.
This one, you can really tell. And he's claimed that this still is his most, well, maybe not, I don't know when the interview was. It was before Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But he said this was his most autobiographical film.
Oh, man.
Which makes sense, because the Rappaport character wants to be an actor.
Go to Hollywood.
He's going to the different...
he's got
casting, and he's not really doing that well.
And you've got the...
he's got the stoner buddy, Brad Pitt.
Who's a kind of a deadbeat in the apartment.
Which, by the way, here is my tidbit for True Romance for you.
Okay.
And I can't wait, actually, now to watch these commentaries. But my tidbit is that the movie Pineapple Express, you know I'm a Judd Apatow fan.
You are.
Is based on the Brad Pitt character of this movie.
Really?
Apatow had an idea. What happens to the Brad Pitt character
after True Romance?
After everyone else disappears from his life?
What a great
Brad Pitt.
What a great gag.
So I guess that became the James Franco character and whatever. So Pineapple Express is all because of this movie. Is that wild?
That's pretty wild. I can believe it. And you know, like that's just one little thing you can talk a lot about. Like the Brad Pitt gag. He's a great character.
One of the best characters in the movie, and he
does very little.
He's oddly very one note.
One note.
And you're right, he does very little. But
he's integral. He's kind of like the moral high ground. Everybody loves him.
And he keeps telling the bad guys where everyone is because he doesn't get that they're bad guys because he's so stupid.
He's like so pure of heart, but he's also responsible for what's going on. But everybody kind of knows that. So because he's working so well with all the gangsters, they don't kill him or anything. Right. He escapes danger.
Like possibly a lot of stoners that we know,
just oblivious.
Really good hearts, but like just they just aren't paying attention. They don't get it.
That was a great gag. Yeah.
So I thought that was a great gag. But I mean, God, where do you start? So
I don't know, plot, I guess.
Okay, well, actually, let's start with the script because that is the bridge, the Tarantino script. Well, you said that this is very Tarantino, and I agree.
Yeah, I mean, just the classic briefcase again. You got the stolen drugs in this case.
Well, it starts with a conversation about Elvis. And Christian Slater's trying to pick up this girl. He has this pat routine where he always, tells people about Elvis.
Lines,
and we see it then when he meets Arquette. But
she doesn't really buy it completely.
But that in itself is very Tarantino.
Just the conversation about pop culture.
Yeah. And about Elvis.
And about Elvis. And I love that, of course, that the classic Star Trek references. I'm like, why would he want to do a Star Trek movie? It's in his first screenplay. Big Fat Shatner gets name dropped. And he works with
the guy. They're working on like a T.J. Hooker reboot
in the 90s. That's great. Yeah. But I love early on, like you're wondering, okay, he's meeting this girl and it's going well, but it turns out it's a call girl that I guess his boss sets, and he works in like a video store.
He works in a video store. That's how Tarantino is that.
Like literally, I just feel like if you took Tarantino's life as a video store clerk, people he knew, trying to get into Hollywood, mix it with some of the movies he liked as a plot, I think in some ways this is such a pure Tarantino story.
It is, and what's interesting about it now? You pointed this out while we were watching it. So this would have been between. In terms of being released between Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
And I looked this up because I was so interested. I try not to look up too much, but I was like, this is such an important movie for Tarantino.
Yes,
I would argue this is the most important because him getting to sell this screenplay is how he funded Reservoir Dogs.
Yes,
which is the reason why it became a hit.
Yep.
And so this is it right here.
I will be honest, going over all the Tarantino movies in my mind. As we've all been doing lately because I
love ranking Tarantino.
We're writing our top 40 movies of all time currently,
which I guess
and
might
you
be
have a few Tarantinos in yours. I'm not sure if I will have any in mine. I said maybe a few years down the road, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But to be honest, I think other than maybe like Pulp Fiction's always kind of my go-to because I saw it in theaters. It was sort of a revelation.
It's pretty revolutionary at the time too. Pretty cool.
But honestly, this is right up there. Even though it's not directed by him, this is right up there for me. This movie's great. And also...
It's got all the same humor, too.
Another little tidbit. It was originally non-sequential. The classic Tarantino out of order.
Oh, man, that would have been really wacky.
I think it works a lot better this way.
Well, it's a very all-over-the-place plot.
I was going to say, I think there's a lot going on enough in general.
It would have been confusing.
That it would have been very confusing. Now... If it were directed by Tarantino, maybe he would have,
I think if you broke up segments, but really the movie is mostly go to this place with this bad guy. A lot of times I felt like it was a video game. You got the boss, then the mini boss,
and then you move up, right?
So there's a lot. I feel like there's too many jumps in particular scenes.
I agree. So I appreciate that Tony Scott said, "Look, Quentin, let's not do it out of order. Let's do it in order and not confuse everybody." Because I think it does work better. But everybody here is literally just knocking it out of the park.
I want to watch this movie again.
Joe, I do too.
I've been thinking about it since...
Listen, I'll be honest. One of my rules that I've given myself for these top 40 lists that we're writing is that it has to be a movie that's at least 3 years old. It can't be super new. Okay, well, this would count for that. Even though I just saw it, it's old. But I have to have watched it 3 times before I can definitively say this is one of my favorite movies of all time. But I'll be honest, I could watch this movie again right now, watch it again next week.
I'd watch it again.
And maybe put it in my top 40. I mean, it is that good.
Well, it's interesting.
We should actually watch it with one of the commentary tracks.
I want to watch it.
The
thing is, this is a movie... All right, let me ask you this.
Kilmer's barely in it, and he's great. He plays like a hallucination Elvis
guy because Slater's character really worships the Elvis character, and he sees him as like his kind of a conscious.
See, that hallucinogenic thing made sense,
as opposed
unlike the Tarantino bit in Dusk Till Dawn. I think.
Well, they go into it more. It was definitely built up to more because we know more about his character.
Yeah,
it's better written. You're right. Better directed too, I think.
I think it is better written and better directed.
You got one quick shot of
no offense to Rodriguez, but
Robert Rodriguez. I think...
Well, and also clearly just starting out. Yeah, Tony Scott had been around.
And also he's handling somebody else's material. It's fine. Tony's more experienced. But
Oldman plays the drug lord. The pimp, rather.
Pimp because Patricia Arquette.
But then they take all this briefcase full of drugs accidentally.
Because he tries to get her stuff because he's trying to be the big man and be the hero. And
Idiot leaves his ID there.
Which is the reason all the stuff, because he's not really experienced. He's not a badass. He's just a kid trying to...
Hopper plays the father. Walken plays the boss. Firing on all the cylinders.
Absolutely. And, that's one thing I got to say is this is one of those things where, much like Kilmer barely being in it, everybody's used so sparingly but so effectively, and I just kind of just wanted more. It's all these different characters that are just in it for brief periods, and I wanted more. I want more fleshed out, like a true...
Yeah, forget Pineapple Express. You could get a side movie
you could get a
on
Walken.
You could get a side movie on the Oldman character. Hopper.
There's your franchise, True Romance.
Actually, the True Romance universe, TRU.
I'm serious, because it's like a lot of short stories strung into one.
Well, yeah, and that's what's funny. Really, the only people that are in this movie for more than, say... 3 scenes are Slater, Arquette, and Rappaport.
And I guess
maybe Brad Pitt.
A little bit.
But all these A-listers show up for 2 scenes.
And I wanted to point this out.
They die or they move on or whatever.
I had a question, then forgot it, then remembered it, because I got a 2-part.
Okay.
Because first part's a question, man.
Okay.
Now, we've had this joke. Well, we'll get there. Hopefully we'll get there. It's a long video. But here's the question.
Okay.
We've had this bit going. Our buddy Justin's kind of been saying, surprised about certain movies, certain people have never seen.
Yeah.
What surprises you more? That I've never seen Dusk Till Dawn or True Romance?
Well...
Because I'm surprised about both.
True Romance has more of the Joe regulars.
Okay.
For sure. Walken.
Yeah.
Keitel. Mm-hmm. Or not Keitel, Hopper,
Oldman, probably.
Oldman.
Love those guys.
Even Pitt to a degree,
not
as much as me, but but then I would say from Dusk Till Dawn simply because
does it seem more me?
Seems more you because it's definitely because Tarantino's in it.
Because I liked a lot of the crime stuff in the beginning,
and when I think
which one do you think's a more Joe?
Well,
movie?
Now having seen the True Romance,
okay,
for sure. But it was very mob related. Well, beforehand, look, all I knew about these movies beforehand was Dusk Till Dawn was vampires, and I knew Tarantino wrote it. And then True Romance was a crime movie about being in love.
Yeah.
That's all I knew.
Okay, I knew they were on the run.
Because, as always, I try not to hear anything. Well, even back then, when people were talking about it, I was like, okay, cool, like... And I thought maybe I'd want to watch it.
It's weird because this movie I've heard a lot about kind of off the cuff, but I'm such a big Tarantino fan, but I'll admit... I'm kind of glad. The reason I didn't see either of those movies is because I'm like, well, it's not a real Tarantino movie, and I was being a bit snobby. Like, I can't really count that. And now I'm like,
now you know the truth.
I was missing out on some gold. Dusk Till Dawn had some really cool stuff.
The truth is, this is more a Tarantino movie than most.
It is, and I really liked the script. And I liked the characters.
The box set too.
And I love the box set a lot. And the thing I knew about this movie is I knew vaguely it was about people on the run, something criminal, and I think they stole something. So I knew that much. And I knew that Gary Oldman, one of his best villains, I've heard all this.
Well, you had seen the scene before.
Well, no, not that scene.
No, that's right. You saw the walk-in scene.
I had heard that one of the best Gary Oldman performances, villains in cinema, was that character with the pimp, and I'm like. And I was like, there's no way that can be so effective. And
not to mention unrecognizable.
With the makeup and the accent, I'm like, he's scary. And he does so much with just 2 scenes. Yeah. And he just transforms. Gary Oldman is such a good actor.
And we've seen him melt into other characters more recently in the last 10, 15, 20 years. But 30 years ago, who knew?
Well, think about it. After this...
That he had such range.
I wonder if Coppola saw this, or maybe this is why. I think, did this come out before Dracula or after? This came out after, right? Before?
I think Dracula was 94.
Was it 94 or 92?
I don't know now. Brad Pitt was in that too, right?
Because he did a lot of makeup work in Dracula. He transformed himself in so many times in that movie.
Right.
But Gary Oldman, we were talking about, we were watching.
It was a year before, 92.
Maybe that's why.
So that's interesting.
He's just such, and I guess was it with the Churchill movie?
Darkest Hour. I mean, you could have paid a person to say who is that, and they would never have guessed Gary Oldman.
I just think we got to say it here. Gary Oldman is one of the great actors, and he's somehow still underrated.
Yeah, he's
a very. Oscar?
I don't think so. I know he was nominated for Tinker Soldier, Spy, whatever that was.
That man deserves an Oscar, please.
Oh, wait a second. I think he did win for Churchill.
Okay.
I think he won for Darkest Hour.
I hope so.
I want to look that up because I sound like an idiot.
Give him something.
I'm pretty sure he did win for that. How could he not?
Please.
Right? He really is one of the unsung heroes here.
That's an actor. Remember, you see Fifth Element ever?
You know what? I actually did. It was my buddy Sheldon's favorite movie.
He transformed in that.
So I forgot that was him. When Regal ran it for the 20th anniversary, I saw it on the big screen. It was very good.
I love that.
Very good movie.
Thank you. So my fiance's favorite movie, one of her favorite.
That's
movies,
right.
Fifth Element. But great. Love him in that.
Yeah.
Man, see, this is just a Gary Oldman show, but I had to say it.
Well, because he's great.
But I also want to get a couple of my classics out. Okay, I'm stealing this right now.
No, that's fine, because I'm looking up if he won. Yes, of course he won. What are you talking about?
But the only scene I'd seen from this movie has been considered, at least on the internet, one of the best dialogue exchanges of acting in cinema.
Yeah.
And I was like...
But before you continue on...
Before I spoil it.
No, you can spoil it. But, I didn't look at the Rod and I didn't look at the Ebert. But
I don't care.
Ebert actually will be the most interesting because he saw it, he would have reviewed it when it first came out. All the people on Rotten are more retroactive.
Ebert didn't like Reservoir Dogs, actually.
So he probably didn't like it. I'll be curious.
He probably thought it was too violent or something.
But this is now regarded as one of the great American movies of all time.
Really?
By many people, yeah.
Really?
Like magazines do, top 100 movie, and it routine if it's like a hip magazine, not like Time.
Yeah, because it's
like Rolling Stone,
but as
Variety,
as a movie cinephile, and it seems like there's so much going on. Like I said, with all these little scenes, I feel like in a lot of movies that bother me, like these characters, they just do so much of these performances, and you get so much from them. Yeah. Like in the scene.
Talk about your scene.
Dennis Hopper, we know a little bit. By the way, playing against type, being a nice guy for once, doing a good.
Yeah, how about that?
I love that. But the scene with Christopher Walken and his mob guys, they're talking. He's trying not to give up his son. We just get so much. Christopher Walken's played some scary characters, but you get so much menace, and the whole scene. You're in that moment.
Talk about a classic Tarantino exchange too.
Yes.
The script in that scene is so tight. And my guess would be that it is verbatim what was on the page.
Well, I one time for fun of it, I found a Reservoir Dogs script just online, and I read through the whole thing. By the way,
okay. Is it exactly what it was on the camera?
There was one scene for some reason he didn't film.
Okay.
Other than that, it was shot for shot, word for word, exact, which is Tarantino.
Right, which is Tarantino.
So this is and I really like that.
And I don't think it's that he wouldn't have trusted Hopper or Walken.
No,
of course. But this was directed by Tony Scott, so maybe there is more wiggle room there. I don't know.
True.
Maybe some of these words weren't.
From what I understand, when he directs, it's like, no, I wrote it this way. They say it this way. You have to say it. So he doesn't allow much wiggle room there, which is one of the things.
But since it wasn't directed by him, we don't know.
Maybe there's improv, but you got these two.
But either way,
these two giants of acting against each other, and you feel the menace, you feel the suspense, the sadness. You kind of know Hopper's. You're hoping he's gonna make it, but you know he's not gonna make it, and just the build-up of the exchange with the menace,
I did hope he was going to make it.
The conversation about the history, and
that bonding moment, right before he gets murdered
with the son.
Oh man, and then the whole bit with the cigarette, which seems like a throwaway line, but is actually very moving. I mean, for you, that's your favorite scene.
I also really,
but I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, too. I got to talk about him. I got to talk about it.
Kilmer.
Well, Kilmer does a lot with a little. Yeah. But Gandolfini probably his most evil character, this psychopathic hitman that goes after Pritchard.
Yeah.
That very violent scene, which is... See, with Tarantino, it would have been a little more poppy, a little more bouncy. But this one, it's it's pretty intense.
Very dark.
It's not comic booky at all. It's serious.
But... Shootout in the hotel room gets some laughs.
Shootout in the hotel room is comedic.
And something I pointed out to you, I think, at the time, because we had just watched, of course, Desperado. Mm-hmm. They tried to do a few jokes in Desperado that I thought fell flat. They tried to do, lighten the mood or whatever. But...
It's more natural here.
Yeah, because it was written by Rodriguez and not Tarantino.
Also, to be fair, in defense of Desperado again,
tell me.
Look at the caliber of actors.
Well, okay, you're not wrong.
I think if you had a few of them in Desperado, it might be a little better.
You know what? Here it is again. It's talking about Dusk Till Dawn, Clooney and Keitel facing off in acting against Tarantino. You're right. True romance actors are A-level.
These are all great.
And, no offense to Antonio Banderas, but first starting out, he's not A-level, for sure.
No, these people are all great. You're right. Once they get to the hotel and how they're trying to kind of string on, what are we going to do with this cocaine? Who can we sell it to?
Yeah.
I guess a big crooked Hollywood
And then they
producer.
make up this. And it's Christian Slater's so out of his depth, this character.
Yeah.
I mean... he just doesn't know what he's doing. Which is why he's trying to sell this cocaine at cost. He didn't mean to steal cocaine at all.
It's weird how it's it's a farce and it could easily be a dark comedy.
Yes, it actually if it went the way of 8 Heads in a duffel bag or something like that, it could
There's moments.
be a jokey.
Could be a comedy.
And it has jokes.
It actually reminds me a bit of the Tim Allen movie Big Trouble with the bouncing around of things, trying to all the characters.
You always mention that. I got to see it.
I like that movie, but
I could tell that from just the trailer that Big Trouble is sort of a jokey movie, but it's also got some dark elements. Once again,
missing suitcase thing. It's a classic
trope. It's a classic trope.
Hey, if
Tarantino knows it well.
I'll do it sometime. I love the briefcase trope, but. Yeah, man.
Total Recall even did it. Remember? On the stairwell.
Yep, you gotta get it.
What else? Yeah, Gandolfini's great. Are you a Slater fan? So that's a no. He's thinking too long.
Well, it's like asking me if I'm a Woody Allen fan. Not a Woody Allen fan. That was messed up.
Wow.
Sorry. Rick Moranis. I'm sorry, Rick Moranis. They look kind of similar.
Oh, because of the glasses
and the hair. It's like saying, It's like saying I'm a Rick Moranis fan the other day. After a little shot of horror as I am.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I like things that he's in. I like him. But am I I'm going to rush out to see a Christian Slater movie? No.
Okay, here's my take on Christian Slater. I don't know if I would call myself a fan.
I'm just trying to think of things.
Although, when he was in his prime,
I liked Heathers.
Which now includes this movie, I guess, because it is really, I would say his prime is late 80s to mid 90s.
He just didn't stack that much.
Heathers is fantastic. Pump Up the Volume, especially as a radio guy, fantastic.
I'm trying to think of other things I've seen him because I know
the most recent thing he did, I feel like, is the Mr. Robot arc.
I did like him in that.
I saw the first season of that. He was fine in that.
I saw a couple episodes of that.
But he doesn't really
act that much.
And I don't know what the reason for that is. I don't know if people soured on him or what. He doesn't have any really controversy. I don't think people dislike him as a person.
Maybe he just had different interests. He saved his money and did something else.
Could be. Well, look, one of the things that sort of always, I think, hampered his career is that, especially in the early days, he was pegged as...
Pretty Boy?
As a Jack Nicholson knockoff. He had this very, very similar voice.
Yeah.
And he had
wears
a lot
the jacket a lot.
Yes, a lot of the same mannerisms, and he in fact lampooned it when he hosted SNL.
Okay.
So I think maybe that could have stalled his career a bit.
Interesting.
Because look, if you're going to get Nicholson, get Nicholson. But look, Nicholson is 40 years older than him.
Yeah.
So there's different roles for them.
That's weird.
But I don't know. I'm just guessing. But but I think he's very good in this.
Yeah, it's
I don't think he's
as good as a lot of the other people around him.
And to be honest, I think Patricia Arquette's great in this movie.
She's very good.
I know her most from Medium, the show.
So you've actually seen that?
I've seen it. No, I wasn't a huge watcher, but I've seen maybe 5 or 6 episodes, yeah.
My favorite Patricia Arquette movie is, I guess, tend to be these really dark crime thrillers, because,
What else was she in that was like this?
A couple years after this, she did Lost Highway with David Lynch.
Oh, yes, you love David Lynch.
She plays 2 women in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
She actually surprised me in this, because, look, the Arquette family seems very nice.
You don't like their skills?
She's good. David Arquette is sort of a joke of an actor. He's a punching bag a little bit.
Okay.
He does the cop and Scream and everything.
Wasn't she but she was the mom in the movie about the boy.
Yes, but see, and this is the thing. I've learned over the last few years, Medium she was fine in, but between Boyhood, she's done actually a few in the last 5 or 6 years that I was like, oh, okay, this lady can act.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
But this is very early Arquette.
Yeah.
Who knew? But I think she's great in this. I think she can stand toe to toe with Hopper, with a lot of the people in this movie.
Yeah, the thing is, I think Christian Slater is good, but you know what? Acting wise, he might actually be my least favorite performer
in the movie. Honestly, because of the stacked cast, I don't doubt that.
I could have seen someone else in the role. Maybe did a little better. Maybe.
Yeah, I think if there's maybe a weak spot. It's Slater's acting, but not by leaps and bounds.
No.
Not by
really.
Tarantino and Dusk Till Dawn level, I think.
No, he's not that.
I think he's completely serviceable in the role. I think he's more than serviceable. I think he's good.
He's good at it, yeah.
I might even say
very good.
Very good.
Sure.
But is he great? Yeah. I would say no.
I don't think he's stellar like some of these people.
No, he's not. But
but does he need to be?
The
he's
persona,
kind of the everyman.
You're right.
Who's down on his? He's not.
You're right. Yeah. He's the straight guy in the movie for sure.
Everybody else reacts.
Everybody else is crazy around him,
and he's in this weird world. So maybe he is under because he's played wacky characters before.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I don't know.
And I do think for this time in his career, makes perfect sense. Heathers, he plays sort of a deranged person. Pump Up the Volume, he plays more of a slacker, stick it to the man kind of person. Sure. Pump Up the Volume is this. He starts a pirate radio station at his high school.
Okay.
Or I think it's high school. I only saw it once, but but as a radio guy, that spoke to me.
Okay.
But he was sort of F the man, kind of guy.
Did he turn up the volume in the movie?
He pumped it up to 11.
Good.
And then here he really is sort of. Like you said, the everyman. He's more of the straight man around everybody else. So maybe in context, it is actually a good performance.
Like I said, maybe we're understated
a
little. I don't know.
But look, this is the secondary movie, so we probably shouldn't talk about this
too much longer.
Let's see what the critics are saying about it.
What do they say now? What do they say now?
Yeah, I'm very curious because... Okay, so 93% and 93%.
So they like this one.
For critics and audience.
Everyone likes this one significantly more than the other two.
Yes. Now let's see the negatives, and are they recent? Okay, so this negative's from 2008.
Okay.
Provides some amazing encounters, bravura acting turns, and gruesome carnage, but it doesn't add up to enough. Disagree. All right, let's find Entertainment Weekly, quote, not available. They gave it a B+, too low. The whole thing rattles along like that pink Cadillac they're driving.
You did try to get rid of it though.
It was too obvious.
But they don't know what they're doing.
Well, right, it's spoke to that, but they're too. Yes.
Before you
and Elvis.
Well, actually, keep going. I can't forget this.
This person who said that still gave it a 4 out of 5. Quentin Tarantino. So maybe it was a positive that it rattles along.
Man, this movie sucks. B+.
Here you go. This is the best film Quentin Tarantino never made.
Ooh.
4 out of 5. Quentin Tarantino's dirty, funny, and unpredictably violent genius powers true romance, directed by Ridley Scott. 4 out of 5. These are all true. But let's look at the rotten. What do the 4 rottens say?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, that one doesn't give anything but 2 out of 5.
I could say some people may be saying, it's just a bunch of violence and whatever, doesn't have much of a story.
But I disagree.
Yeah,
I think there are layers of story here.
I think there is, but it's so broken up. I think people could think it's just an excuse for a lot of action. I could see people saying that.
Here's a corny man.
I like corny man.
The movie may be stylistically visceral, but it's aesthetically corrupt. It might have as well have been called "Pump Up the Violence."
I kind of like the pun.
I used to do puns on Film and Action. Justin hated it. All right. So too often the bloodbath mentality simply washes away the film's more appealing on. I disagree. I think the bloodbath at the end is a proper commencing of everything that we just watched.
I agree with all the different groups kind of combining and meeting up at the final shootout. But did you think the violence was ever too much? You jumped a couple times.
Oh yeah, I got squeamish a couple times, and you know I don't like eye stuff.
The glass.
Although, I didn't turn away when someone got stabbed in the eye from Dusk Till Dawn, but they were a vampire, so it wasn't a real eye.
You do like, hey, we did. By the way, Dusk Till Dawn also had the great thing where the eyes pop out and roll down the
That was a great shot, by the way. Yes,
the pool table.
Yeah, that was a very good shot. No, I did not actually think I did have to turn away a few times, especially in the scene with Gandolfini and Arquette
in the most intense one.
That was, you can tell. By the way, this movie originally got an NC-17. I told you that.
I can believe that.
Yeah, but the reason this is unrated is because they didn't want to say NC-17. But this original cut certainly got NC-17. You can see why. Some of those scenes are
brutal,
very, very brutal.
It's pretty brutal, yeah.
Yeah. So pump up the volume. Let's see what Ebert says. I mean, True Romance, not pump up the volume.
What does
pump
True
up the
Romance
violence? 3 out of 4.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's all right. Here's another one that's not available anywhere. Only to rent.
Buy it.
There are a few objections to True Romance that I haven't thought of, and I dismiss them all with a wave of the hand. This is the kind of movie that creates its own universe and glories in it. The universe in question could be best located inside the flamed fantasies of an adolescent male mind. Again, with the teenage boy.
It's because it's an early script he probably wrote, to be honest.
Well, I guess that is true. He probably wrote it when he was a
It sounds
late
like something
teenager,
you could write when you're in your early 20s, maybe.
The movie's hero, Clarence, is perhaps something like the target audience member for the movie. Works in a comic book store. Fred
he works in a comic book store.
Spends his free time watching Kung Fu triple features and can hardly believe
Tarantino.
it.
But he didn't know at the time.
Look. Yeah. Look, he's right. I mean, but...
He's right.
I don't think this... I think telling people this movie is for teenage boys.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Pineapple Express, that's for teenage boys.
Yeah, there's a lot of intense stuff.
There are layers upon layers in this movie.
Also, of course, the dialogue with the exchange is very intelligent.
Dialogue's great, very intelligent, as always with Tarantino. And to be honest, this is one of these movies that I think is hard to give a genre to.
Yeah,
Can you give it one genre? I don't know.
Crime, thriller...
Action,
comedy,
maybe, but it's certain comedy,
adventure, romance.
There's some drama, there's some romance.
Mystery.
I mean, it really runs the gamut of about 5 or 6 different things, and you could make a case for all of them.
Yeah.
And I've always said...
Genre blending again.
I've always said that when it's done well, a genre blending movie... Most of my favorite movies are genre blending.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. Like Back to the Future or something.
It's a great example. Back to the Future is certainly about 4 different things, and you can make a case for each one. I think at Hollywood Video, we had it in the comedy section. It's fine.
Okay.
But it's also a sci-fi. It's also...
Adventure,
action, adventure. I mean, like, it really runs the gamut.
Yeah.
Edward Scissorhands was in comedy, too, at Hollywood Video, which I didn't get. Yeah, there's some jokes, but it's like...
It's a tragedy.
It's like when the Golden Globes put The Martian up for comedy.
I mean, it's quirky. So they didn't know Tim Burton.
Tim Burton, what's this?
It's funny, I guess. He's got no hands.
I guess Beetlejuice is a comedy. Let's put it there. All right.
It's a sad movie. I don't know.
It's a very sad movie. Listen, I mean, literally, I'm going to say it. This is an A+ for me.
A+?
This is an A+.
Damn.
This is an A+ movie for me. I think for all the reasons we talked about, and probably about 10 we didn't, yeah, it just is great. You're not as high on it?
I guess not.
An A.
I was thinking
minus.
A minus, yeah.
No, not for me.
Yeah,
all right, so what are your negatives then? I'm curious.
Because
we've sang the praises.
I think there's a lot of great stuff about it. I just think about a lot of other Tarantino's other films, and I like the one critic. I think it was Roger Ebert. He said it was like you can get into a universe and it's unapologetically its own. Yeah. And I feel like later on Tarantino would get so much better at that. Just even from a script level, like I think about, and granted that's his direction too. Yeah. Like, and you get so much more immersed, and I guess because it's so many little, I guess that's the main thing, and maybe that's a positive actually, is that, like I said, I felt there were just some things that I wanted fleshed out a little more.
You can't wait to watch it again.
I can't wait to watch it again.
It's a good sign.
I felt it was maybe a little messy. I wanted a little more of all the characters, I guess.
Well,
it was a little all over the place.
That's always wanting more is a good.
Oh yeah, that's
negative for you.
It will definitely not get an A+ from me because of one thing. Okay. The tone is a bit off, partially because of the soundtrack. There is one Rastafarian xylophone thing that ruins several dramatic scenes. That was stuck in my head for weeks after the movie, and I'm like, that annoyed me. Why'd they ruin that great scene? I'm sorry, Dan. I know you forgot, but I can't. I love this movie, but that music choice, which they wouldn't let go, made a lot of scenes that were intense. That ruined that exchange with his father. That ruined that scene, and they kept playing that song, and that's why. I almost forgot to tell you. That's why I was like, I showed it to you because I found myself listening to it because I searched for it. And then I was like, oh, this is a cute little jingle. And then
they played like this. It was like marimbas, like we were in Jamaica.
But during the exchange, I'm sorry, I don't mean to ruin this.
You're right. No, I can't. It's not an A+.
Maybe it's an A, but like that's.
I forgot about that.
That great scene, and that's that one piece of music.
I forgot about that.
That's why I didn't like it as much. The tone was a little like it was sabotaged a little, mostly because of that. Damn.
All right.
I'm sorry, dude. That's the main reason that bothered me a lot.
Crap, I forgot about that.
I'm sorry. I almost forgot because I talked about all the great stuff.
Maybe it's an A.
Fine, I'm sorry, Dan. Maybe you can watch it again. I won't care as much, but that did annoy me well after we watched it.
I really was feeling my A+ so strong.
I really am sorry to ruin it, but that's the biggest reason why I hate it.
I forgot about the damn.
And
it was in like 5 scenes.
I'm like, get more music. It's Hans Zimmer.
And then we watched 50 First Dates over the weekend.
And they had less Hawaiian music.
And I was like, well, that made sense in that movie, but they used less of it even.
Like, son, what are we gonna do together? Like, I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. That scene in particular, but the fact they wouldn't let it go. That's my biggest gripe with it. That and the fact that I kind of wish there was a little more of something.
All right.
I'm sorry, Dan.
I think you're right.
I usually like to.
I can't A+ it. Because that was.
It ruined.
That was a complaint.
And it was annoying.
That we said at the time. I had actually forgotten all about it.
I almost did, but believe me, I remembered that song was stuck in my head for days.
All right. Well.
I'm sorry, Dan.
It was speaking to me for an A+.
A's
with
good.
the marimba beat behind it, so I guess it's an A.
Look, it tricked me. Look, it's a good piece of music. I think it was used inappropriately.
All right.
A couple. I'm sorry.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm glad you remembered that because I didn't.
But everything else, that was great.
Okay.
It's very good.
All right. That is a sour note to end on, so we can't end there. Let's talk about our upcoming Dan's Big Movies.
What is it? I forget.
Right? Oh, that's so great. February is going to be exciting because it is the 30-year anniversary. We do the anniversaries in increments. So, by the way, if you have an idea, and we've gotten a couple of listener suggestions already. Yeah. Viewer suggestions, I should say. Or both. But we're looking for mainly, 5 years, or not, well, more than 10 years, but in 5-year increments. So 10-year anniversary, 15-year anniversary, whatever. So this is the 30th anniversary of Silence of the Lambs, February 1991. So we're going to watch that. We haven't decided the companion piece yet. We're between Hannibal and Red Dragon.
Let us know in the comments if you watch.
Yeah, if you have a preference, please let us know because I haven't seen either. and we're a little undecided.
If Tim watches it, let ask.
Yeah, Tim always knows, and he loves Silence of the Lambs. By the way, it's in his top 40.
What do you think, Tim?
Or maybe it's not in his top 40, but anyway,
it's in mine.
We're built. Oh, it's in yours.
It's one of my favorite movies.
But we are building up to watching the series Hannibal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a whole thing, and then apparently there's this show that's I've been talking about it. I don't know when it starts, but Clarice. I think it's on NBC. I think starting sometime this spring. And so this is just a Silence of the Lambs kind of year.
I guess.
So we're excited to bring you that in February. And then in March, we decided on this great movie that may be in my top 40, Defending Your Life.
Oh, yeah.
With Meryl Streep and Albert Brooks. We're going to talk about what to pair that with at some point.
Yeah.
And then later this year, we're going to tackle the 2 Princess Diaries movies, which I've never seen, which is very odd. Seems like my kind of thing.
I've seen them both. Did
you see the second one too?
I think so. I've definitely seen
A Royal Engagement?
I think I did.
All right. Well,
I think I did, actually.
Very good. So we've got all of that and more. Dan's big movie. I love doing it with you.
Thank you.
Talking these old movies.
This is my thing. I love whether I've seen them or not. Classic movies and how they're great or maybe not so great is always fun.
Yes, I did not care for one of these at all.
Well, you know what?
Average.
I still don't totally agree, but you know what? I'll tell you what.
Tell me.
Please make a deal with me.
Okay.
At some point down the line.
To watch El Mariachi.
And
I do have it.
And I think you'd appreciate it. And I honestly think Once Upon a Time Mexico you'd like more.
Oh, that's right. All right, that's fine. You know though, now that I've bumped True Romance down to an A, C, B, and A.
Yeah.
I think those are fair grade. I think these are all about a letter grade apart. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Makes sense.
They go up in quality.
But I definitely recommend this to all. We got to watch these commentaries too. Yeah, that should be interesting.
I would love to. I actually I want to show Shannon that too, Honey Lemon, because
I'll leave it here.
I just feel like she'd appreciate it. I feel like I'm borrowing a lot of your stuff.
That's fine.
But no, just for if you're a Tarantino fan and you said I don't want to, what's this True Romance? The screenplay alone, it's a fascinating insight. Yeah. It really is.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. I know this was a long one. We had 3 freaking movies
usually to tackle. 3.
But
usually we're better about it.
But you know what?
I'm
not sorry that we saw them all.
Actually, you know what?
I'm really not.
Might be my favorite one we've done, actually.
Well, that's good. And see, you said, oh, forget it. You were like, nobody cares about the anniversary, which is true. I'm the only one that cares about the anniversary, but
we like to stick.
I wanted to watch Dusk Till Dawn,
and I'm
neither of us had seen it.
I'm glad we did. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.